Hi, very good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. I have a terrific guest today, and normally we talk about the wine world and beer world and everything within it. Well, this definitely touches upon it. The use of artificial intelligence and software to help maximize restaurant sales, and not only that, to help customize ordering for the guests that come through. Now, we all know that COVID has been very disruptive with the advent of this pandemic back in March, and the restaurant business has been hit significantly. Now, I am tied to it a bit, having worked in a hotel part time, and have seen the disruption that has caused the entire industry. And it's definitely a blessing that people are out there building technologies that are going to help maximize the restaurants that do stay in business to not only survive, but thrive. Now, I'd like to give a warm welcome to my guest from Standard Insights IO. He is an AI professional. It's Jerry Abiog. Did I say that right,
Yeah,
Abiog?
you did. Perfect.
Jerry Abiog from Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Jerry, how you doing today?
Hey, thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on your show.
Terrific. No, it's always a pleasure. Give us a little bit of insights into how this got started and your backstory, because the backstories are always what people want to hear. It's where the interest really is captivated, and obviously you're working on some very exciting things.
Yeah, sure, Rob. I'm one of four co-founders of Standard Insights. We're about a 2.5 year startup. And what our company or our platform does is we are an AI as a service growth marketing platform that helps businesses across many different verticals prioritize and execute data-driven omni-channel campaigns. And why is this important, Rob? Well, it helps that business target the right person with the right product, service, or in this case, menu item at the right time. This helps your business drive both top and bottom line growth. And this is vitally, vitally important in that it helps one's business, regardless of vertical, become competitive in an increasingly data driven world with marketing precision using artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the amount of data that people use today as compared to say 2002,
Yeah.
2003 is incredible. I read somewhere where you could take the entire year's data in 2003 that was used by the globe, and it
hmm
would only encompass 2 days in today's world.
Yeah, it's nuts. Even if you go back 10 years ago during the Great Recession, it's night and day difference. The amount of data that we had back then and the amount of data that we had right now. Rob, when we started the company, we started off in the e-commerce vertical since they were the early adopters of artificial intelligence. And we're seeing this in Amazon with the product recommendations and Netflix. So over time, we wanted to branch out to other verticals, finance, brick and mortar, and restaurants. So we actually branched out to restaurants last year and two reasons why we did this. Number one of our co-founders actually owns a restaurant. And number two, McDonald's had purchased one of our competitors doing something similar to that we're doing right now with AI-driven recommendations. So we actually developed and launched this last year, but to be honest, Rob, it kind of fell flat. Restaurants weren't ready for ordering online or ordering on their phone. They weren't ready for that. It sounded cool, but they weren't ready. So we went through a handful of restaurants, didn't get great response, and so we shelved it. We put it in the garage, and then along comes COVID in March. We pulled it out of the garage, retweaked it, and spun it off as its own brand, iorder.menu. So that's what we had discussed prior to coming on to this call.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, restaurants are they're much more traditional brick and mortar businesses. If you think
hmm
back, a lot of the model outside of point of sale systems like Micros or Squirrel that are integrated for order taking directly on site, They're very mired in the past still and very resistant to change. And obviously this change disruption with COVID has brought about how to really redo everything, because if they don't move into the future and they don't adapt technologies like this, we're just going to see a lot more bankruptcies. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
Oh
way
yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. You know, restaurants, and if you talk to, the folks that are involved, yeah, they have a dinosaur-like mentality with technology adoption. And because of COVID, those that want to survive have been forced to accelerate their adoption of different types of technology. I was at a virtual conference a few weeks back for restaurants. So all this stuff, all this new technology was 3 to 4 years out. Because of COVID, it's been shrunk down to 3, 4 months out. So yeah, to your point, yeah, restaurants, if they want to see the light of the day or want to be open tomorrow, they have to look at, other types of technologies that can help them now.
Yeah, and disruption's always it's always the thing that's constant throughout history, which forces technological change and improvement. We
Yeah.
see this time and again. Something that I actually wanted to ask you about as well was, you mentioned, or I saw a video of you speaking earlier with a chef, descriptive and predictive analytics. And I
Hmm.
look at this and I think, wow, if I could really see what customers are doing and then track their preferences, much like the way you said Amazon or
Yeah.
Netflix does. I know I launch into my Netflix and all of a sudden it has suggestions for Rob, and it's got a whole slew of things based upon my viewing preferences. And I
Yeah.
think basically being able to do this in the restaurant world is not only going to save a lot of time, I think it's going to probably cut down on a lot of churn and really lock down on your customer base.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. So if you go to our website, iorder.menu, it talks about three things: is customer experience, um, preventing customer indecision, and telling them what to do next. So all this takes into account of what our platform can do. So it goes above and beyond just putting on a digital menu or uploading your menu and then slapping on a payment gateway. We want to make your menu smart, right? So the restaurants can take advantage of that. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, Rob. Just like with vaccines for COVID, there are a plethora of companies coming to the market with or not AI, but with just digital menus, right? So the ability to order from your phone for curbside pickup, or ability to order from your phone for dine-in. But we feel that with artificial intelligence gives us a significant advantage amongst our competitors.
Well, yeah, and it really takes the whole meter a whole step further. I think back about 5, 6 years ago, there was a big move in the wine world. For instance, you have apps like Delectable and
Hmm.
Vivino came out on your phone. And basically what it did was it gave you a very simplified, to the end user, a very simplified pocket sommelier service. And what I see with this is that you're actually just taking this a whole different level of a game. It's a game changer in the sense that, you think digital menu or you think apps on the phone. Well, with AI, because it has the ability through machine learning, correct me if I'm wrong, to remember and retrieve things very effectively, the people that are going to adapt to this, and the listeners that are viewing in on this right now or listening later, that hear this message, particularly if you're in the restaurant world, or even if you're in the hotel world, or you have a wine bar or wine shop, I could see applications exploding across the board for this. This is something that they must get on. And I think about it, not only are you going to have a retraction in brick and mortar, but people's buying habits have changed. There's a certain
Yeah.
percentage that I like to use the term jokingly as cave dwellers, but they really are. They don't want to leave their house. They live in their basement
Hmm.
and they order everything from home. And the fact is, if you have a warehouse of information based in what you have is like, you call it ALAS, or AI as a service, which I think is a great acronym because it makes me think of SaaS, or software as a
Yeah.
service. This is able to categorize things and catalog it in a way that's completely customizable.
Yeah.
I don't think you can touch on a more personable way of ordering.
Yeah.
I really think you're on the precipice of some greatness here. I really
Oh,
do.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. Take, for example, like your wine shop in your neighborhood. Typical wine shop, how many bottles do you think that wine shop carries? It has to be in the hundreds. Could be what, five, six
Oh,
hundred
it could be
types
in
of,
the
yeah,
thousands. I mean,
thousands.
yeah, yeah, because they'll have a warehouse of cases, probably a storeroom of cases in the back. And then I wouldn't imagine they store too much due to security and safety. Obviously, alcohol is
Right.
coveted and it's something people like to steal. So, but I would imagine the volume is great. And yeah, I could see where this would track that.
Yeah. So even if we say for this conversation that a store you walk in, they've got 500 bottles ready to be sold once you walk into the store, and assuming that the average store has 2,500 customers on record, they've been around for a while. Artificial intelligence can help predict what each of those 2,500 customers will buy out of that inventory of 500 bottles. So now you're not guessing what bottle should I sell to Rob when he walks in the store, what bottle should they sell to Jerry. You already kind of know, hey, this is what they're predicted to buy by looking at their patterns compared to other people like them.
Yeah, and you can see where this technology is going to move in the future, where the shop owner will just look at you and you walk in and say, "Oh, you like that dry Riesling from the Moselle
Right.
region of Germany," or "Oh, I've got some beautiful Merceau here because we know you like white Burgundy, or you're into
Exactly.
Napa Cab Sauves. Here's a Stag's Leap for $60. Thank you very much."
Right.
And it would also have a huge, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it would have a massive impact on just the sales process itself and to expedite it. So your sales volume can move quicker.
Yeah.
The impact on the client is far greater because there's memory and recognition, and everyone loves to be remembered and recognized. I mean, that's part of
Mm-hmm.
the magic of remembering someone's name, for instance. So if you can do this with ordering, wow, I mean, just the potential is unreal, and especially for the early adopters, this is something
Yeah.
that you really want to get in on the ground floor.
So to give you an example, so one of our clients is a Thai restaurant. So back prior to COVID, they had a real cool restaurant. They did a lot of specialty drinks, and obviously with COVID, the dine-in stopped. So here, I don't know what the laws are there, but here in Georgia, they're now allowing you to do curbside pickup for alcohol, and soon in the near future, alcohol delivery. So we took the average order value for this restaurant was roughly around $30. Now what we're doing is making drink recommendations, and let's just say, $5, so a couple orders a meal. Date night, it's $30, right? Two meals, so $15 each. Now for recommending them drinks, so two drinks, so just say $5. We've taken that $30 average order value up to $40, right? So that's a
Wow, and that's huge.
33%
Yeah.
increase. And this is what they probably would have done if you were dining. Hey, have a drink. But so even that, just now, is everyone going to buy two drinks to go? No, but if you get 10% of people buy recommendations to improve that average order value by 33% from $30 to $40, over time that's going to add up.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could even swing this into what you were mentioning just in the, we were in the waiting room setting up this call. You mentioned something very interesting, was the Manhattan, and
Yeah,
somebody ordering a Manhattan, which will tie into the whiskey blend.
yeah,
Whiskey that could be $100 or $200. It could be a craft whiskey.
right.
All of a sudden, that whole element has massive exposure too. So I mean, this is the impact and the ramifications of this. It really is a big paradigm shift coming.
Yeah, think about this. If you come into a restaurant, you're ordering, and they start offering you $100 bottles of whiskey, and you're looking like, I don't even drink whiskey. Why do they even know me? So that's the thing, right? It's going to be boils down to customer experience. Hey, this shop owner, this liquor store, this restaurant does not know me. They're presenting me with, whiskey. I'm more of just a beer guy, right? So that's where it comes into play, the customer experience. But if that customer orders a lot of Manhattans and over time, like, okay, man, every time he's been here, he's ordered from us 5 times, always orders a Manhattan to go. Why not start pushing the bottles of whiskey? Now, if I'm that customer, it's like, okay, hey, they get me. I'm more so. It's always going to boil down to, customer experience and building it up from there. And with AI, learning and parsing that data, and not only that, but being able to execute campaigns around that will go a long way.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the use of technology to enhance things, because the other thing I see from this is just if the software implemented, the AI remembers you and remembers your details, there's less conversation about that when somebody comes into a restaurant or a wine bar, wine shop, or a liquor store. You can just see where the applications of this can go endlessly, and the retailer on the other end, or the employee or the owner, can engage in a more meaningful and in-depth conversation to actually really add to that relationship build as
Right.
well. So you're not as focused anymore on the transactional element, because you already know what they want to transact.
Right.
You can actually now really build a rapport with them, and that's just going to take it that much further.
Yeah. So you have a clear-cut focus of what's going to be going on. You're not flying blind anymore. So you're speaking about technology. Just go back 10 years ago during the Great Recession, when there were 2 companies. How did we get our movies? Either we rented, we went to Blockbuster, and there was a young company called Netflix. Back then. Think about where Blockbuster is right now. I mean, they're ceased to exist. They're no longer. They didn't adapt.
Yeah, they're
They
gone.
didn't get on.
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. So they didn't get into the technology of online with the DVDs that you could first started with the DVDs you get at outside of stores, and then the online subscription service, right? But Netflix did, and they got on, and they saw a need for that. Now there's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's all these other, but
Oh
Netflix
yeah,
was
Crave, a whole load of them.
all.
Amazon Prime, even Amazon's in the game. Disney now. Oh yeah, and it's not going to
So
slow down.
yeah, it's not going to slow down. But look at Blockbuster. They didn't think ahead. They weren't forward. They weren't forward thinkers. Or even now, we're talking on Zoom, and Zoom has their data. 10 years ago, I was still in the corporate world. We did have conference calls like this, but it was a whole elaborate setup,
Oh yeah.
right? In a conference room, big long conference table to
Oh
talk with
yeah.
other
Yeah.
people. Yeah. But now, we're doing this over our phones, our smartphones, and Zoom. So yeah, technology's come a long way, even going back in 10 years. And yeah, people or businesses that do not adopt, there probably will cease to exist in the very, very near future, just like what happened to Blockbuster.
And you make some excellent points there. Even on the video conference side, this is something viewers can relate to, because everyone's tapping into Zoom or Google Hang Up or Meetup,
Right.
I believe. I can't remember the exact name of it. But 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I actually was in the IT world doing reselling. Actually, it's a little further than that. It's about 2007. But it's not so far in the distant past. And I
Right.
remember 3M had these, video conferencing cameras, and they looked like long projector arms. And of
Yeah.
course, you've got the elaborate setup in the boardroom. And if the footprint of that can be shrunk down to your handheld today, where the conferencing call is also a lot more effective. For those
Yeah.
that are listening to this, think of the impact this is going to have on your restaurants, particularly right now if you're just trying to struggle to survive. And I imagine these, for the value that they give, these software tools, Jerry, are quite cost effective as well, particularly in a business where they're used to having high overhead. And that's part of the whole problem with the restaurant business too, along with very low margins. So any way to raise the margin and to
Yeah.
shrink your overhead and to maximize your reach, because the old days, I mean, you'd come in and your reach was just who came into the restaurant.
Right.
Restaurants typically are lousy marketers,
Oh
lousy
yeah.
branders, unless they're part of a massive change or some massive chain. with this technology, the reach is far greater. It's like the effect social media had as opposed to just having an email list.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my neighborhood, so a restaurant will, so I live in Metro Atlanta, right near downtown. So if you take, for example, a restaurant has a 5 mile reach, right? There's in a crowded city, I mean, that's thousands and thousands of people that you can reach via social media instead of just an email list. And if you take that a step further, yeah, you're right. Restaurants are poor marketers, but now with AI, you're just not sending, you're going beyond just sending a mass text or a mass email on a menu item that Rob or Jerry may or may not like. But if you can pinpoint their favorite food items and what they've ordered in the past, the chances of that converting goes up tenfold.
Wow. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that we're coming to a close here? Is there anything else that you would like to say quickly that would you feel would resonate with the viewers, as well as the best way to get a hold of you? Because you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what,
Rob.
it's really important to reach out to you, Jerry. I think you've got something fantastic here, and technology is always fun. It's always moving forward. And the old saying is, if you don't change, you will die, and the
Yep.
change will leave you behind. So, yeah, what's the best way to get a hold of
Yeah,
you and
so
to reach out to
they
you?
can go to the website iorder.menu. So it's IORDER.menu. We chose that acronym. We chose that phrase because we wanted to make it easily rememberable, right? Something active, iorder.menu, because we're dealing with the menu of a restaurant or menu of services. And if you go to our pricing tab, it's all clearly spelled out there, our pricing, and we've positioned it so much so that it's friendly towards restaurants, especially the mom and pops that are suffering more so than the big chains. So take a look at that, or if someone wants to get a hold of me, they can go to Jerry, shoot me an email, Jerry, Jerry, at standardinsights.io. Go onto the website, or how we found each other, LinkedIn, Jerry Abiog, Standard Insights. Yeah, I'm the only guy there I'm the only one on LinkedIn there. But yeah, I'd be honored if your listeners would at least shoot me an email or book a demo. There's a book a demo button when you first launch, go to the website. And yeah, we'd love to show you a demo. It's free. Take a look at it, and hopefully we can help you out, help your restaurant during these difficult times.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really enjoyed this discussion. This is Jerry Abiog from Standard Insights, AI and how it's going to disrupt and really move the restaurant industry. And I really see the hospitality industry reaching into wineries, breweries, and distilleries forward into the future. Listen, whatever you decide to do, make sure to subscribe to the Drunken Grape YouTube channel. When you do, hit the notification bell at the top of the page. Once again, Jerry, thank you very much for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, have a terrific day. This is Rob from the Drunken Grape.
Hey, thanks, Rob.
Excellent.